Aaron, it's great to have you back on the show. It's been a while since we've chatted. Of course, we got to see you out with Disciple and Red for that 20th anniversary of End of Silence on that tour, and that was a lot of fun, and it was great to get to chat with you in person then. But it's great to be able to have you back so we can talk a little more, man.
Man, it's always great to be on your show. Seriously, it's one of my favorites.
Aw, I'm feeling all warm and fuzzy now.
Well, that's what I like to make people.
Yes. Well, coolness will just slap me and call me Fuzzy Lumpkins. Anyway, so what's been going on, man? I know that you guys have been like super busy, but what exactly has been keeping you busy?
It's been a crazy. 2016 was a blessed year, that's for sure. We were on the road like crazy, and every year just continues to get bigger and bigger and more packed with our schedule. I mean, started out the year touring with Viridia throughout the entire summer, basically from like late May to like almost September-ish. And then we hit the Red's 10th anniversary End of Silence tour, and then that tour was insane. It was so great, and I absolutely love the guys in Reds. They're some of my favorite guys on the planet, and same with the Disciple guys and the Spoken guys. But so that tour was great, and then we went to Germany in December for Christmas Rock Night, and that was insane. That was the coolest experience to get to go across the world and play some rock and roll and talk about Jesus to people in Germany. It was amazing.
Now, I've had a few bands on the show before who have made that trek. What really stood out for you as far as overall the experience, maybe even not necessarily part of the concert itself, but as part of the whole experience of going out there and being there and doing the show and coming back? What really stood out to you about that whole thing?
It was just the amount of love that they have for musicians and for what we do as a career, and it was awesome. For us to go out there, it was like, people in Germany probably never heard of us, but yeah, we'll go. And people had heard of us. It was crazy. You just don't realize who's listening and who knows of your music, and to see what you do and love what you do. And without us knowing, I mean, we're thousands of miles away, and here we are, people are singing our songs, and I was just kind of floored by the entire experience. Just the fact that they absolutely love music out there, and that was probably the coolest thing that stood out to us. It was like, man, everybody's always told us, you gotta go tour Europe, you gotta go tour Europe, and we've always been like, yeah, that would be cool, and when we got to go out there, it was we came back going, you have to go to Europe. That was crazy. So we're definitely looking forward to our next trip out there, and hopefully to be a little bit longer and play some more shows.
Now, how do you feel like, without trying to sound like we're dissing on Americans, because that's not what this is about at all, but how did you feel like the audiences there differed from an American audience specifically? Because you guys have toured a lot in the United States, but since that was your first overseas outing.
When you get people out here that don't necessarily know of your music, they tend to stand around a lot. Yeah. And when you're out there crushing it and giving it your all, I mean, I'm very involved with the audience, so I make sure that when we come out, there's literally nobody standing around. I want to make sure that they're involved in our entire show. But for us, the difference was that I think is that out here, it's so readily available to have bands like Red and Skillet and Disciple and Random Hero even and Spoken. I mean, we're always out touring the U.S. I mean, you drive to the next state and typically catch a show from somebody. So it's always available out there. I mean, it's available, once a year right now, or whenever bands can make the trek or to hit a tour out in Europe. And so they're very like, when you go, even when you hit the stage, that first note, they just go bonkers. And it's like, I didn't have to say anything. It was probably the coolest thing ever. It wasn't like, hey, put your hands up. They were just doing it. And I was like, all right. And so sometimes out here you got to work the crowd a little bit more, because if you're new, you really you got to prove who you are, and you got to prove your worthiness to their ears and especially their eyes, so that if you put on a great show and you sing songs and you involve them in those songs, and they come out of there singing your songs and they know your name, I mean, you did your job right. And that's the tough part, you know what I mean? So I think overall it's just the accessibility out here as opposed to out there. So
yeah, I get that. It's more treasured when it's a little bit more scarce, and that
right.
That's the way it tends to be. But yeah, but overall though, it sounds like what you're telling me is that European audiences, or at least the German audience, they did their homework. They were ready for you guys, and no instruction was needed.
They did. It was cool. It was really cool. And when we hit tours and stuff, like on the Red tour, you put out the promos, and everything, and people really do their homework for the shows. Now it's different because when you see somebody on a music video, you never know what they're going to be like live, and you can kind of watch YouTube videos for what are these guys like live, you know what I mean? But once you get in the atmosphere and you're there and you're dialed in with the performer, it's way different. So it's really difficult to kind of gauge how good or bad a band may or may not be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Keeping along the topic of tours, you guys are getting ready to go out on another tour that's a pretty big deal. Tell us a little about that.
We are, man, we leave on Tuesday.
Wow.
We are heading out on the City Rock Fest with Seventh Day Slumber, Disciple, Project 86, Spoken, and Decipher Down, and Scarlet White.
Wow.
It's not all those bands at the same time, but there's like two legs of it. And so the first leg goes through, I think, March 12th or something like that, or maybe February, or sometime late in February, and then the second leg starts. So we're super excited to do that. We've toured a lot with Disciple. We've become really good friends with them. So it's pretty awesome to get to go out with guys. They're just like family for you. And then the Seventh Day Slumber guys, we've gotten to know them really well over the years. And honestly, the craziest thing is that when we got this tour, we were driving into Nashville on the, what tour? I think it was with Viridia, and Joe Rowe was doing he was doing a live video, and so we kind of tapped into the live video and we're like, hey man, we're driving to Nashville, there's some cool places to go check out. And he was like, my house, let's have a barbecue. So cool. We went over to his house, and it was like, he was like, seriously, message me, let's do this. And I was like, is he for real? You know what I mean? Like, so we were kind of like, let's do it. And so we went over there and had a barbecue, and they cooked some mean barbecue over there. It was amazing. And we hung out, and at the end of it, he was like, guys, you've been so cool to hang out with. How would you like to go on the City Rock Fest? And we were like, it was kind of like, yeah, that would be really cool. If it works out, we'll talk. And then he was like, shake my hand and it's a done deal. And I was like, I mean, cool, whatever. But so shook his hand, and, sure enough, man, he's Joe Rowe's a man of his word, and just a great guy in general. So we really got to know them, and so we're stoked. This tour couldn't be any more fun with the people that we get to go out with, and so it'll be more like a family environment rather than, hey band, meet other band, and maybe like each other at the end of it.
Hope you get along.
Hope you get along. Good luck. But we're pretty easy to get along with. We're just we're one of those drama-free bands. So if we, like things happen in the set, or we have to change things on our end, it's like whatever. We just kind of go with the flow, and I think a lot of bands really appreciated that out of us. And so we do what we do, and we do it to the best of our abilities, and make sure everybody's happy in the end. So
for sure. Well, dude, that's going to be awesome. I think that's a great lineup, and it's refreshing that that Joseph and the rest of the guys have put together tours like this, because for a while there was this weird like little purgatory time when it felt like there's Winter Jam, and it might have Red and like one other artist that younger folk who aren't like thoroughly into praise and worship might like, then like there were 3 or 4 of those going around. I was like, oh, that's great, but and then all of a sudden, this one popped up, and I'm like, yes, good, we have a good answer for this now. So I'm excited for you guys to be able to be part of that. Now,
thank you. We're stoked for it too.
Yeah, for sure. Now, this might be leaking out a little too much information, so feel free to not answer it. But one of the things that I just got done going to Winter Jam like just this past weekend, and I think the longest set, I didn't stay for the whole thing, so I didn't stay for like the last 2 acts, but the longest set was like 4 songs. How many are you guys going to get to play on this tour?
Winter Jam it's interesting because it's a quick festival style, from what I understand. Like our friends in Viridia did it, and Disciple did it too, and they were like, we really have to, like, if we wanted to put in like 10 songs, we had to like cut them all in half and just go. And so, but a lot of people, like even the Red guys, are like, you have to really cut out certain sections of songs so that you can get through them as quick as possible. And I don't even know if headliners have that long, maybe an hour. Yeah. But for us, I think on this tour, we're doing between 25 and 30 minutes. So
okay, that's not bad.
It's a good enough chunk of time that we're going to get in rock. We're going to rock your face off and leave you wanting a little bit more. So
sweet, cool.
Hopefully a lot of it more,
Yeah. Well, and for the people who are indeed wanting more of Random Hero, I like where I'm going with this. You guys have been working on some new stuff. Tell us where that sits.
We have. Oh man, we've been working on a new record for quite some time now, and honestly, it's been just one of those like just projects of love that you just kind of pour your whole heart and soul into. And we really wanted to make sure that it was done correct and sounded just as good as, or even better than the ones that we've done before. And so we finished it. We turned in our masters not too long ago. And so the exciting thing is if they supported us on Pledge Music, they actually got their digital copies today. And
nice.
So I've been crazy busy today pushing that out there and putting it out there. And today on Facebook, we announced that we are doing digital pre-orders starting today for our March 3rd release of our new record called The Covering.
Okay.
So it's pretty exciting times right now. And we're floored that we get to do what we do, you know what I mean, and make it a career. So it's been a fun ride so far.
Now, I think that this may be my favorite album cover that you guys have ever put out. Of course, I haven't got a chance to hear the album in full yet, but I like the single. But
I love
us,
it.
Yeah, it's great. But tell us about the cover and kind of what the meaning is behind it.
So we had originally planned to do 2 EPs, and when you get down to it, sending out 2 EPs and then pre-orders and orders and all that, it gets pretty costly for the artist.
Right.
We did 2 EPs for the Pledge Music campaign, and we sent those out. Each EP and each name, so the Gift and the Curse, the Light and the Covering, those are what the EPs are titled. But each particular, like the Gift and the Curse, they had their each little hieroglyphic. And Rob, our bassist, he does all our artwork. And so each hieroglyphic stands for it stands for that. So it's a gift, if the hieroglyph looks like that. So our cover, I'll have to look at our cover real quick because
it looks kind of like a tilde and then like maybe almost like a double masted cross going into a circle.
Yeah. So the Gift and the Curse, the Light and the Covering. So it's kind of, you get like the circle down below, which would be kind of like the earth, which I believe, I'm going to screw this up and Rob's probably going to kill me, but it's more like, that's the gift. So like, that's kind of like life in general. But all of this combined, everything you see on here is the hieroglyphs that kind of match up to that. And basically it is that you get the circle and it's kind of like the earth, and then you get the cross, the double line cross. And that's our faith in our salvation and what Jesus did on the cross. And then the line at the top would be the covering. So the artwork basically stands for that. The covering is that when you accept God's gift of salvation, he basically covers you, and your entire life, your entire world is covered. And, you might go through difficult times, but he's always carrying you, and he's always bringing you into the next step of your life. And he'll always, if he brings you to it, he's always going to bring you through it. And so that is kind of the basic synopsis of what the cover is.
Okay, cool. I like it. Sweet. Cool. Well, like I said, I mean, I think it's kind of classy looking. It's got a nice look to it, and it's different. And there's only so many things you can do.
Yeah, you can always put like a picture of somebody on there with a cool background or a logo or something. But Rob really likes to go down traditional, and he likes to do things that are eye-catching, and I love that about him. And he's a stellar artist. So I mean, if other bands are looking for an artist to do their covers and whatnot, we'll be on tour for the next forever. So, hit him up, and I'm sure he could hook you up. But he's always done a stellar job with our graphics. So.
Nice. I know that this is an unfair question to ask, and one that always does get asked, but what do you think is your favorite track off the record at this point?
Oh, man, that's a good question, because the only one that people have actually really heard right now is Mirror, Mirror. And so I could be cliche and say Mirror, Mirror, but I'm not gonna. I'm going to say probably a brand new song that I actually finished writing not too long ago. I was finishing up vocals and realized there was one other song that I hadn't written to yet, and I was like, oh boy. I sat down and just really focused on what this song was speaking to me and what I felt like the Lord was telling me to speak through it. And so it's a song on there called Chance to Breathe. And so that's my favorite song off the new record. So I think you guys will love that as well, I'm hoping.
Sweet. And of course, we got to ask about Mirror, Mirror. Tell us a little bit about the meaning behind that track, since we know that people are going to hear that one during the show.
Yeah, definitely. There comes a time in everybody's life where we've done something, or things happen, or even like getting bullied or whatever. We look ourselves in the mirror, and it's like, it's not like the person we want to see. And so kind of the general idea was to say, like, the reflection, like your reflection can lie to you sometimes, because what I always tell people during our shows is that God doesn't make mistakes. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, you should smile, because he made you perfectly and in his image. And there's not a day that goes by that he doesn't look down on you and smile. And that's your flaws. And that's with the things that we mess up on a daily basis. You're still loved, and you're still perfect in his eyes. And so that's that's what Mirror is about.
Awesome. Nicely done. Sweetness, what else is on the horizon for you guys that you want to share and want people to know about?
So right now we got a new record dropping March 3rd. Pre-order it right now,
okay.
And if you go to our Facebook page, and then so we got City Rock Fest, and after that, I don't think it's been announced yet, but we're going to be doing another summer tour with some friends, and then in festival season, which is always like a big family gathering and family reunion every summer. So be looking for that. So it hasn't been announced. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say who it's with yet, but
that's fine.
As soon as I get the go ahead, we'll post it up and we'll let you know.
Sweet. Cool deal. Cool deal. And finally, what thing are you most excited about people hearing, A, off the new record, and B, what are you most excited about experiencing with an audience on the new tour?
Oh, yeah. I think off the new record, I think I'm excited for people to experience. I think this record is, every artist says this new record is the best record we've ever done. Everything is, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much a given answer. But for me, I think it's, I mean, it would be funny if you got an argument, this is the worst record we've ever made. You know? But it really is. I think it's the best record we've ever done. Not just musically and everything, but sound-wise. We had Robert Venable from Off the Wall Studios in Nashville mix and master it and produce it, and he did a phenomenal job. But I think what I'm excited for is the people hear what we sound like in a raw, kind of more or less of a raw and a true fashion of who we are. And we didn't want to bring it down by saying, oh, we want to try to go more AC or more CCM. What we kind of push the boundaries a little bit more to go a little heavier. So I'm excited to see how people respond to how different it is compared to like the Breakdown EP. You know, it's a little, you know, you still get your pop melodic aspects, but we also went a little heavier in it. So, and I think people are looking for heavy music, and I love that because it's still out there and it's very much still flourishing, you know, and guys like you and that push our songs to the radio and to them, I love that because you still support what we do. And, that's a huge blessing. But so there's that. And secondly, I think the most exciting thing I love about every tour is, honestly, when we're one of the first bands right out of the gate from the beginning of a show, I really love the aspect of just ushering people into the presence of the Holy Spirit through whatever song that hits us, and then at the same time, giving them a show that just blows their mind. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be just as good as Disciple and just as good as Seventh Day Slumber and the headliners. And so we want to come out there and set the bar high. And so I'm looking forward to hearing everybody sing again, but also, you know, getting down and really just worshiping, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about.
Perfect. I couldn't have said it any better myself, man. Excellent. Cool deal. Well, dude, hopefully we'll get a chance to catch you guys out again sometime soon.
Yeah.
And
we'd love it.
Yeah, it's been fun catching up, and we'll do it again. And let us know when you know about that tour thing, and we'll talk about that as well.
You got it, man. It's always a pleasure being on the show. We appreciate you guys spinning us. We appreciate the love, because we love you guys, and we won't be able to do what we do without you.